Obviously, 3 races to go in the regular season, Jimmie. 2 at Dover this weekend in the double, and then on the high banks at Daytona. Just on the outside, looking in on the playoff picture, how do you maintain that focus and tenacity it takes to make the playoffs with that interesting dynamic that your teammate William Byron is one of those drivers you're racing?
Yeah, it's not a position William or I want to be in, but I've just had a very interesting year with missing a race at the Brickyard 400 and thinking of those points that evaporated or are tough to swallow right now. And then we also had the disqualification at the Charlotte race. So essentially 2 goose eggs, and we're 25 points out. But a lot can happen in these 3 races. I think the Dover racetrack is one of the more dangerous tracks we race on for points. You can have large pileups and things really can affect others that you wouldn't see at maybe a traditional mile and a half. And then you roll into Daytona, and who knows what's going to happen there. You could even have somebody below where I sit in points win and complicate things, even more. So, I guess experience and time doing this helps me just relax and focus on the job at hand. And we'll bring everything we can these next 3 weeks and see what happens.
You mentioned relax and focus. I've got to follow up naturally on this, that being the type of mind that I have, having the opportunity to talk to other athletes, because elite athletes all get to this point at some point or another in racing specific. Talk to Ricky Carmichael, Rick Mears, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon. And now I'm going to ask you a very similar question. When you get down to it, because you never said you're actually going to retire, just going to stop driving full time, how do you manage that fear in your mind, as successful as you are, of potentially saying, hey, I may not win again?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways a competitor has to manage fear. There's the issue, in the job itself that you come to grips with. And I think looking forward, some of the things I want to race, I'm being very aware of that and saying, hey, this stage of my life, do I really need to take that risk? The fear of winning or not winning, the fear of being competitive or not, is a fear that I love. It's a fear that has kept me accountable my entire life. I've learned to live with it and enjoy it since I was a young kid racing dirt bikes. And, it's kind of framed up my life. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate the nerves and butterflies and all that come with that. And it makes me who I am.
Yeah, that's a strong way to look at things. Obviously, a healthy way to look at things as well. You mentioned other forms of racing. You had the opportunity to drive an Indy car. Something you said was a bucket list item. For a guy who seemingly has done it all, what else is on a bucket list for Jimmie Johnson?
There's some sports car races I've always wanted to experience. Different cars that I've always wanted to drive and experience. And really it's about those experiences. I recognize that I'm on the older side, and an IndyCar might seem like a crazy destination. Some people might be thinking that, but if I can pull it off, why not? And I know my work ethic, and I know how I will apply myself. And I'm willing to accept that fear and that risk and go do it. So, sports car racing, very similar kind of arc through that. And then, I look at the dirt racing that I did growing up. At some point, I do want to go back and get dirty and drive some of those trucks once again. So that's really in the car racing side of life. And then what I'm most eager to do is to slow my schedule down and really just enjoy my family and enjoy friends and have some weekends at home and balance life out a little bit after, being on this grind for so many years.
You shared on your social media recently getting out and doing something similar to that, what you're talking about, sharing time with the family, getting out on the motorcycles. Is your daughter that good on a motorcycle?
They're really good. I'm surprised that, they're both very much girls, but they love to ski. They love to skateboard. They love to ride their bicycles. They ask every day, can we ride dirt bikes? We do a little bit of go-karting as well. So they have a really good balance of mom and dad, and it's been really fun to watch them challenge themselves and to see how much they enjoy it.
Certainly a champion on the racetrack, definitely a champion off the racetrack as well. You continue to give. And for those who aren't aware of what the project is, tell everybody about the Helmets of Hope and just how important this endeavor is to you.
Yeah, it's been a really important thing for me, and something I'm so thankful that Blue Bunny Ice Cream has supported for a lot of years now. They're a great family company and great friends. And as we try to figure out our relationship, they definitely wanted to attach to the Jimmie Johnson Foundation and figure out how to really help at a grassroots level. And the Helmet of Hope really does focus on smaller nonprofits, and we try to give them the cash and national exposure that they typically don't get. So once again, we have the helmet. The 5 charities are on the helmet. They've received some money and Ice Cream Social and national exposure. And, with this year being as tricky and as tough as it is, I know it's more important than ever for these nonprofits to receive any type of attention. So very, very happy to have the helmet on this weekend, and hopefully we can take it to victory lane.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic to see how this all plays out. So everybody, make sure you stay tuned with that and pay close attention to the Helmet of Hope. Finally, Jimmie, this is something that can be a challenge to some athletes because you're not expecting this type of a question. When you look at yourself from start to where you're at right now, all the championships, all that you've done off the racetrack, obviously being an amazing father and husband, give me 3 adjectives that describe Jimmie Johnson to you.
To me, it's funny because, well, I guess that worlds do cross over between personal and professional, but I would probably say intense, focused, and caring. Maybe it would be the 3 I'd throw out there.
Fantastic. And I think that pretty much sums up what everybody else thinks of you and your career. And I know when fans have been around, half the fans cheer at driver introductions, while sometimes the other half of the fans boo at driver introductions. That's part of the charm of NASCAR racing. But I think it's safe to say everybody is looking forward to watching you compete again and hopefully seeing you back in victory lane. Jimmie, all the best to you. And thanks so much for all you've done for this sport and for being the champion that you are.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the continued support.